fits. But again, you know, the original intent, it's something completely different now.
Now, of course, what many people may remember when you think of Vince Russo and TNA will be the time that Jeff Jarrett brutalized you on one of the pay-per-views. What did you think of that, and how did you, go about and enjoy that that whole segment?
Man, that's tough, and I've never really spoken about this before. You know why? Because nobody's ever really asked me. But I mean, I can tell you, he brutalized me, and I can tell you that week my entire body was black and blue. I mean, I never, ever in my life took a beating like that, ever. I mean, not even close. And I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of built-up hostility in Jeff towards me. I mean, there's no question about it. And every bit of it, came out that night because, I mean, he beat me like I never got beat in my life. But, the thing is, Jeff and I have that kind of a relationship. I mean, we've had that kind of a relationship for the past 10 years. And, the kind of relationship I have with Jeff is, it's very honest. I mean, it is brutally honest. Jeff doesn't like a lot of the things that I say to him. I don't like a lot of the things that he says to me. A lot of times we aren't on the same page. We have different mindsets. We have different feelings. We have different ideas. And, it's been touch and go for 10 years. I mean, it's been that way for 10 years. A lot of the sex angle was real. I mean, there was a lot of hostility between me and Jeff. But the difference is when push comes to shove, and when you get beyond the wrestling business, and when you get into our hearts as human beings, there's a love between Jeff and I that you don't find in this business. I mean, I'm talking about a sincere love and a sincere friendship, and it's because of that love and friendship that, we've been able to get through a very, very, very rocky road, probably for the last 2.5 years in TNA. Because like I said, when you push the business aside, man to man, I love the guy. I love the guy. I love his family. I love his wife. I love his kids. No, I don't agree with a lot of things he does on a business level. But that's a matter of my opinion. It's not a matter of me being right and Jeff being wrong. It's my opinion. But like I said, underneath it all, I love the guy. So, it's my relationship with Jeff has probably been by far the most challenging relationship I've ever had in my life with anybody. But what makes it so difficult is my genuine feelings for him.
One question I just want to shoot by you now. What are your thoughts on TNA now using former WWE names that are now free agents, such as, for example, Jeff Hardy, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash?
You mean, using them now?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it as long as it's, the right talent. And again, I mean, that's just my opinion. But I mean, I think there are some guys that can help, but I also think there are some guys that can hurt. And that's just my opinion. So I just think you've got to look at every case differently, and you've got to really, look at what every case is going to bring to the table. But I mean, I'm not involved in that. I mean, that's not up to me. That's a lot of that's up to Jeff, and a lot of that is up to the people from Panda who run the business end of it. But again, if it were me, I would just really be looking at it each case by case scenario.
Now, internet rumors, of course, run wild about you pretty much any time you put your face on TV in the spotlight nowadays. But people say that your relationship maybe rocky with TNA. So can you clear it up? What is your relationship like with the company?
My relationship isn't rocky with TNA at all. I gave my notice. I mean, I'm done. You know, the pay-per-view November 7th is my last show. And, you know, like I said, Jeff and I will be friends till one of us dies. I mean, that goes without saying. So there's nothing rocky. I mean, it's cool. I gave my notice. I told Jeff man to man, friend to friend, buddy to buddy, you know, work at a boss. And it is what it is. And, you know, right now, you know, I'm finishing up my next couple of weeks, doing whatever they need me to do, whatever Jeff wants me to do, no problem. But it's really not rocky because I kind of gave my notice, you know.
Well, we're going to close out with word associations, if that's okay with you. If you have a story, that's fine. If you have a one-word answer, that's fine too, whatever you want to give. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. First name on the list is Todd Pettengill.
If I had a beef with Todd Pettengill, and again, it was nothing personal, but from a wrestling professional view, and you've got to understand something, and I please hope you understand something. This is Vince talking. This is Vince reflecting on the Vince at the time. It's
right.
Not who I am today, but at the time, the only problem I had with Todd Pettengill was I was a real wrestling fan, and I loved the wrestling business. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel Todd loved the wrestling business, and I didn't feel Todd respected the wrestling business, and I felt that it was just a job to Todd. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. When I say that now, and I look at that now, yeah, it was just a job for Todd. I mean, it was a gig, and he was getting money, and he was getting paid, and he was good at what he did. But back then, because he wasn't a fan like I was, you know, I took it personally. But that was wrong on my part. I mean, you know, looking back now, that was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. How about somebody who was your right-hand man in WCW, who unfortunately we lost, Kurt Hennig?
Man, you know, I loved working with Kurt. I mean, he was one of the guys that, I mean, man, when we had to do pre-tapes and interviews and stuff, I mean, I would just look at him and crack up. I mean, he was just that kind of a guy, and I mean, it was, you know, I was devastated, you know, for a while, you know, when his death, you know, just came like that out of nowhere. Man, he was always nice to me. He was always a gentleman to me. He always did what I asked him to do, and I mean, I was always a huge fan of his.
How about, and I hate to hit you with another downer, but how about somebody else we lost that you worked with in WCW that was a shock to me, Miss Elizabeth?
That too. I mean, Elizabeth wasn't crazy about me. I mean, I'll be honest with you. She did not like me, and that's okay. I mean, not everybody's going to like you. I mean, you know, when you're the boss and you're asking talent to do some things, not everybody's going to like you. It's very difficult. But I mean, I can tell you. I mean, I was a huge fan of hers, and man, it's, you know, they're really. I don't know if since her there's really been a female to kind of reach the level that she did, you know, back in the late 80s. I mean, she was just beautiful. She was gorgeous. She was a lady. She brought, you know, class to the business, and you know, again, it was just a tragic story. But the sad thing is, it's always the business that takes the life of these people. It's always what the business does to them that takes their life, and that, you know, that to me is just the tragic part of it.
I have one more, and I know Daniel has a couple, so I'm going to give you this one, and I know it's somebody who's also reborn. How about Sting?
Man, Sting, I tell you, I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be able to have the relationship with Sting when I worked with him that I do now. Man, when I became saved, he was a huge influence on me. He was kind of there from the beginning. And I mean, man, I went back to his hotel room one night, and we spent hours and hours just talking about, you know, our beliefs in Christianity and Jesus Christ. And man, I never ever dreamed I would have that kind of relationship with the guy, and I was just so gifted and so blessed that I was able to meet up with him again, you know, when I was in a much different place, and I really got to spend that time with him. It was just a great, great influence on my life.
One I've got for you, Ed Ferrara.
Man, Ed right now, I just spoke to Ed last night, and Ed and I right now are better friends than we've ever been in our relationship since I've known him. You know, there were a lot of rocky roads between Ed and I, but again, the bottom line was it was the business, and it's what the wrestling business does to people. Now that Ed and I are both away from the business, you know, I'm on my way out, and Ed's been away from it, you know, now we can be friends, and now we can